My name's Eric. I'm 34, married for 5 years to a woman named Jenna, the kind of person who makes everything in a room lighter just by walking in. She's kind, sharp, and real. We met in college, stayed together through the rough patches of our 20s, and now we're building a pretty decent life. We're not flashy. We live in a modest home outside Chicago. I run a growing logistics software company with a couple partners, and Jenna teaches high school math. We're not loud about our lives, but we're good. Her friend Tyler never liked that. He and Jenna go way back. High school friends, maybe something more once. I never asked because I never felt threatened. At least, not until I started noticing the way he talked around me. Tyler works in corporate sales. One of those guys who always wears cologne a little too strong, talks a little too loud at dinners, and finds a way to turn every conversation into something about money or connections. He never said anything overt to me. He didn't have to. It was the way he talked about other people. The comments he made about guys who settled or women who married down. Always with a laugh, always just enough edge to make you wonder if he was trying to tell you something. One night, it stopped being subtle. Jenna and I were hosting a small get-together. Her college friend Sasha was in town, so we invited a few people over. Low-key, drinks, takeout, music. At one point, I stepped into the hallway to take a quick client call. Just a 5-minute thing. On my way back, I paused near the kitchen to grab a drink and overheard a conversation I wasn't meant to catch. Tyler. I'm just saying Jenna could have done better. She's the smartest person in any room and she marries a guy who, makes apps for delivery trucks? Someone, I think Sasha, laughed awkwardly. Tyler again. I mean, he's nice and all, but let's be honest, you don't marry someone like that unless you're giving up on something. I stood there, frozen, just outside the doorway. No one saw me. But I saw them. Jenna wasn't even in the room. He wasn't trying to impress her. He was just saying it because he believed it. And in that moment, something in me clicked. I didn't confront him. Not then. I walked back into the room 5 minutes later like I'd just finished my call. I poured another drink, laughed at someone's joke, played it cool, but I remembered every word. Not because it hurt my feelings, I'm not fragile like that, but because it gave me clarity. Some people don't think you're enough not because of who you are, but because you're not the version of success they recognize. And I decided right then that I wasn't going to argue with him. I wasn't going to try to prove my worth. I was going to let my life do that for me. What? Tyler didn't know? My company had just closed a Series B round. We were about to expand nationally, and we were hiring. Guess who applied for a job 3 weeks later? Yup, Tyler. And guess whose desk that resume landed on? Mine. After that night, I didn't tell Jenna what I heard. Not because I was afraid. I just didn't want to make her pick sides over someone who clearly didn't respect either of us. But when Tyler's resume landed in my inbox 3 weeks later, I sat there staring at it for a long time. He didn't know I was a co-founder at Logan Tech. On paper, I'm listed as Director of Platform Development, a title that keeps me out of the spotlight but still heavily involved in hiring. He'd applied for an account executive role. Mid-level, solid pay, growth potential. Exactly. The kind of job he'd probably brag about at a dinner party. I read his cover letter twice. It was fine. Nothing special. He name-dropped companies, used buzzwords, and listed experience like it was a shopping list. But one line stood out. Looking to grow with a company that values long-term vision and leadership. I smirked. Because, I did value long-term vision, especially the kind that lets you wait a little longer for the perfect moment. I brought it up in our internal hiring Slack group. Hey, I'd like to personally interview this guy. I think I've met him before. My partners didn't question it. I've handled tons of interviews before. They sent me his availability and looped in our office manager. The interview was scheduled for Thursday, 2 p.m. In person, I didn't tell anyone who he was to me. I didn't prep to humiliate him. Honestly, I didn't know what I was going to do. I just wanted to see how he'd carry himself when he thought he was auditioning for a job. He walked into the lobby 10 minutes early. I watched from the conference room behind tinted glass. Same posture, same confident strut, same navy blue blazer I'd seen him wear at 2 different parties. He didn't recognize the receptionist, and certainly didn't expect her to lead him into a sleek, modern conference room and say, "Eric will be with you shortly." I waited exactly 5 minutes before walking in. His face when I opened the door? Priceless. Confused. Then shocked. Then a quick smile, like he was trying to cover for it. "Oh, Eric, hey. You work here?" I shook his hand. "I do. Thanks for coming in." He sat down, still processing. "You're doing sales too?" I smiled politely. "Not exactly. I'm one of the founding partners. I review all direct sales hires personally." He blinked. "Oh, wow, I didn't realize. That's cool." The tone had already shifted. His usual arrogance flattened out just a bit. He sat straighter, watched his words more carefully. I opened my notebook. Let's jump in. The interview was professional, civil. I asked real questions, and he gave real answers. But I also let silence hang a little longer than normal. I pushed back on a few of his vague responses. I asked why he'd left his last job, and he gave a polished, vague explanation about misaligned priorities. I nodded. "So, you're looking for a place where people recognize your potential?" He smiled again. "Exactly. Somewhere I can really grow." I closed my notebook. "Thanks, Tyler. I'll be honest. We've got a few strong candidates ahead of you. But I'll keep your resume in the pool." He stood up quickly, probably realizing he'd blown it and trying to recover. "Hey, I know I probably caught you off guard, and I had no idea you worked here, but I've always respected what Jenna's said about you." I looked him in the eye and said calmly, "Really? Because last time you were at our house, I overheard something different." He went pale. "I don't hold grudges," I added. "But I don't forget disrespect either, especially when it's directed at my wife." He opened his mouth, probably to apologize, but I'd already stood up and opened the door. "Thanks for your time, Tyler. We'll be in touch." And just like that, the guy who thought I wasn't good enough was suddenly hoping I'd call him back. I didn't talk to Tyler again after the interview. He sent a polite follow-up email the next day. Said he appreciated the opportunity and hoped to stay on my radar. I didn't respond, not because I was angry, I wasn't. I just didn't owe him anything. He made his opinion clear long ago. The rest took care of itself. But there was one person I did owe the full truth. Jenna. I told her that weekend. We were sitting on the back porch, she had a mug of tea, and I told her exactly what I overheard at the party. She didn't react the way I expected. She didn't explode. Didn't rush to defend him. She just went quiet. That calm, serious kind of quiet she gets when she's really hurt. Her first words were, "That's disgusting." Then, "I should have seen it sooner." I said, "It's not on you. You didn't say it." He did, and I wasn't about to make you feel stuck in the middle. She looked at me, and I'll never forget what she said next. "I married you because you don't feel the need to be loud about your worth, but you still know what it is. That's more than I can say for him." That was the end of it for her. She said she didn't want people in her life who looked down on the man she chose to spend it with. Fair enough, but the world has a funny way of closing its own loops. 2 weeks later, we attended a mutual friend's engagement dinner. Tyler was there, of course, wearing the same smug smile, but this time with just a little less edge. He avoided me at first, stuck to his side of the room. I could feel his glance a few times but didn't return it. Then, halfway through the night, he approached us. Jenna and I were standing near the bar, chatting with another couple. "Hey, Jenna," he said, then nodded at me. "Eric," I nodded back. "Tyler." There was a tense pause. He looked at her, not me. I owe you both an apology. I said some things a while back that were out of line. Jenna blinked. A while back? He glanced at me, embarrassed. Yeah. At your place. I didn't know Eric heard me. Her expression hardened. You shouldn't need someone to hear you to realize it's wrong. He nodded, swallowing the awkwardness. I just want you to know I respect what you've built, both of you. I was going through a rough patch and I took it out in the wrong ways. I didn't say much. I didn't need to. Jenna, after a pause, said, Thanks for saying that, but I think we'll keep a little distance going forward. He nodded quietly. Fair enough, and with that, he stepped away. It wasn't dramatic. No scene, no shouting, just accountability. Late, but real. I looked at Jenna. You okay? She smiled a little. Yeah, I think he needed that more than we did. That night, she curled up next to me on the couch and said something soft, almost to herself. You always were more than enough. Some people just don't know how to recognize real value. Sometimes the best revenge isn't making someone feel small. It's showing them how big your life became, without needing to prove anything. After the dinner party, Tyler mostly disappeared from our lives. No more invitations, no texts to Jenna, no casual hangouts. And honestly, we didn't miss him. People like Tyler orbit you when they think you're useful, or at least unthreatening. But once they realize you don't need their approval, they vanish. And I was okay with that. Business at Logan Tech took off faster than we predicted. Our Series B funding gave us room to scale, and within 6 months, we doubled our team and expanded to 3 new cities. One day during a team lunch, our head of HR said, Hey Eric, someone on LinkedIn just reached out to me asking if we're still hiring for sales. She handed me her phone. It was Tyler. He didn't know who she was and just saw the company's logo and figured he'd try again. I gave a short laugh and handed it back. Let's pass. Not out of bitterness, but because we were moving forward. And I wasn't interested in looking back. Jenna and I stayed focused on our lives. We traveled for the first time in years, just the two of us. No itineraries, no distractions. She loved Italy. I loved watching her fall in love with it. She kept teaching, though she did switch to a private STEM academy where her students actually wanted to learn. I surprised her with a Tesla on her birthday, not because she asked, but because I remembered her pausing to admire one on the highway years ago, she cried. I almost did too. Sometimes success isn't flashy. Sometimes it's knowing the people you love are happy and supported, and that nobody gets to decide your worth except the people who truly see you. 6 months after the dinner party, we ran into Tyler one last time. At a local business networking event. He was there with a small startup doing freelance contract work, still selling, still talking fast. He saw us, gave a nod, respectful this time. I returned it. Jenna gave a polite smile, then leaned in and whispered in my ear, I'm proud of you. And that was it. No drama. No mic drop. Just 2 people walking away from the noise, hand in hand, knowing they never needed to be loud to be valuable. Because in the end, the best kind of success speaks for itself.